Okay. All right. Does it show that I'm recording? It's
Yes.
okay. All right.
Yep.
It's just when it's okay. Well, anyway, before we do anything, I would actually like to just share the one the statement from Joseph Smith, that it's Hebraic. So let me get that up.
Yeah, no, that sounds really cool.
It goes along with what we're talking about, and then I mean I'm happy talking about anything, but I at least want to do that.
Let's maybe, I was thinking, Steve, maybe we just wait until you get your post published, and then maybe
I don't
we
know
can
when
talk
that's
about
going
it
to be. So I'll tell you, I started working on my blog again. Okay, like seriously, there's been multiple times I've spent multiple hours on it. Okay, and I'm working on my the one I'm focusing on these last couple times is my 2 Nephi 31, the baptism of Jesus. And the first part is done, right? Because I did it because of to be complementary to the baptism one that I'm talking about, how and the things that I was kind of telling you about that I see from when I was doing that. And so I'm writing that to be complementary to that, but I'm adding more and more to it. And these last couple times I probably have done at least 3 to 4 hours each time doing my study and double checking and thinking things through, right? And I'm getting more to add to it. In fact, okay, since we're on this right now, I'll just do this real quick. So I got a new insight just kind of randomly, because I like to do just study in addition, but there's a Hebrew idiom, plain, and plain has to do with commandments. So I mean, this is, I don't know if I've shared this a few times on some of my blogs, but here it says plain commandments of God, where it ties it together. And now, my brethren, I would that you should hear me, for I speak in the energy of my soul. For behold, I have spoken unto you plainly, that you may not err. Or, in other words, have spoken according to the commandments of God. Plain is an idiom, Hebrew idiom for commandments. And this has been my go-to for a while. And lately I've been seeing more of it in the Book of Mormon. But here's a good one that I saw a couple days ago. And this is a good connection, in my opinion. So Nephi kept the commandments starting in the wilderness, right? He didn't do it from his youth, or at least not real diligently, right? Which it gives hope for us, right? Anyway.
Right.
Sure.
2 Nephi 1:24. Rebel no more. Oh, so this is Lehi speaking, right? To Laman and Lemuel and the other wicked people, right? Rebel no more against your brother, Nephi. So this is probably to Laman and Lemuel specifically, since he's using the word brother, whose views have been glorious, I mean God's views, right? And who have kept the commandments from the time he left Jerusalem, right? So what was he doing before that? I mean, maybe he didn't keep them as diligently, right? Anyways. And who hath been an instrument in the hands of God in bringing us forth in the land of promise, right? I mean, the land of promise, heartland. I think we all agree on that on the call. I don't, Gary, do you think heartland or do you think somewhere else? Not that it really matters.
I don't even know at this point whether the Book of Mormon is a literal record of people that really lived and events that really took place, or whether God gave Joseph Smith an inspired book of fiction, of allegorical stories.
Okay, well, I completely believe it is what Joseph Smith states, and the Book of Mormon states that it's a record. If you want, I have some resources here, and I mean, it's
well, to me, if Joseph Smith's creative mind was the origin of the Book of Mormon, then he should be expected to know everything about the content. But if he did in fact receive this material from otherworldly sources, then that leaves open the possibility that he could have some significant misunderstandings of what it really was.
Sure. I believe he knew. In fact, there was one of these times that you didn't come that I talked with Jeremy and brought out from, well, expounded Mosiah 9 and 10, though we only focus on the first part of 9, where Zenith is a type of Joseph Smith. And in the very beginning, it talks about how he knows the lands. And Joseph Smith stated he knew where it happened. And so does the Lord in the Doctrine and Covenants. But we won't. We can. I'll give you
the Book of Mormon is the most correct book because of its precepts. So,
well, it's
I don't think that getting into whether it's historical or whether it's allegorical.
Well, that's fine. If
essential to the value of the book.
If you want, you can watch that where I start bringing out how Zenith is a type for Joseph Smith. It's one of the recent recordings. I can give you the link if you want. If not, it's either way. I'm glad that you believe it's correct principles. But anyways, okay, back to this.
Correct principles, and God is the origin of the material. You know,
Sure.
You've got Dallin Oaks that ridicules the idea. The term he uses is pious fiction, but I certainly don't believe in the whole premise that if it's fiction, it's fraud. No.
Okay.
We don't worry about whether the parables of Jesus were literal stories about real people or instructive
there's
stories.
Probably some of both, to be honest, in my personal opinion.
So
For example,
to me,
sorry, go ahead.
So to me, it doesn't really matter whether it's real events or whether it's allegory. God is the author of this material, and I'm satisfied with that.
Okay. Well, if you're happy with that, that's fine. I do believe it's literal history. In fact, I remember when the LDS leaders, said that statement where it's not. I said some things on some LDS Facebook pages where they were quoting him, and I was bringing it how the Book of Mormon says otherwise. I got blocked. But anyway.
What? Really? Wow.
Like I said, I can. Have you read "Accept This and Accept That" on my post? It's all over the place.
Were you guys okay? I kind of got squirreled. Somebody mentioned Dallin H. Oaks, and this is kind of squirreling from the subject, so I apologize.
I mean, we're all time has been squirrels. What are you talking about?
I know. Good point. I might as well squirrel it some more. So one of my brothers shared with me this this link that he had from, I don't know where he got it, but it's a Intel. I think maybe it's an FBI file on Dallin H. Oaks.
Yeah, send me a link to that.
I just put it in the chat.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah, it brings up this PDF file. Yeah, it is an eye opener. I just got done. He sent it like a couple days or last night, and I just got done reading it today. I just got time this afternoon to read it, and I was like, oh my goodness! I almost said a swear word. Holy dude!
No, the Ten Commandments don't tell you not to say. Don't say swear words. It's just don't take the Lord's name in vain, and that's not swear.
Yeah. Oh, right. Gotcha.
Have you posted that in the chat yet?
Yeah, he did. I can see it, and yeah. I'm gonna put it in the notes in the recording of the video.
Sweet.
Okay, I don't know if you sent it just to you because I'm not seeing it in the chat.
You're not seeing it?
Oh, he sent it to everybody.
I've got it on everyone, Gary. Can you see it? It's that long one. It's a really long one.
Okay. Let's try launching this.
See if it'll launch. If it doesn't launch, let me know, and maybe I can email it to you or something.
Yeah, I'll look at that later. That's that'll be interesting.
It's an eye opener.
There's this one guy that loves to blog about the Mormon Mafia. He would probably love stuff like that. I don't follow him. I can't remember his name. But
is that Brett? What's the guy's name? Brett. Oh, I know the guy you're talking about. The other guy you're talking about. Yeah.
He's a little weird and hard to interact with, and he thinks he's all that. he's really got a high opinion of. I do believe in the premise, but when I look at his articles where he tries to prove it, unless you already believe it, they don't make clear-cut connections.
Oh, gotcha.
And so if you're trying to help someone else see it, his blog, I would say, is not very good at that. If you already believe it, it's maybe somewhat good, but I don't even really like it, to be honest. But some of his premises I do agree with, but he is not very good at connecting the dots, in my opinion, and making it obvious for other people to see it.
Gotcha.
But anyways.
So his conclusions are good. His answers are good. He's not good at showing his work. Is that?
That's a good way of putting it. But I actually think with what he shares, though, he's making a leap of faith. But
oh, gotcha.
One that I also believe in because of other things that I believe. But he hasn't made a clear case for the position that he's presenting for those who don't already think that way. And actually, for those who do think that way, I don't think it's a very good case either, even though I agree with him with the theory. If that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Anyways, he does a lot of bias confirmation, in my opinion.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
That might be a good way of putting it. And we all do that. Some of us try harder not to do it, even though we have a bias. I have a bias, and I'm honest about it. But I try to make clear connections for those who don't have my bias can see, to make the connection. Even if they don't agree with it, they can see the connection, right? All right, well, anyways, commandments, while he left Jerusalem, who hath been an instrument in the hands of God, bringing us forth into promised land. Now, this is interesting, right? I know I'm going to sidetrack a little bit in doing a little padres and looking at depth of the Book of Mormon. Wherever you think the Book of Mormon happened, Heartland, which is where I'm at, they went there. That was the promised land, physically. But what's our promised land heavenly? It's heaven. I didn't come out the best. That was repeated. But you get the point, right? But part of what's doing that is because he kept the commandments, right? In fact, that John verse I like to quote, I quoted before, so I won't do it again too much, but if someone claims they've seen God and aren't keeping the commandments, they're a liar. Have been an instrument in the hand. So anyways, it's keeping the commandments, going to the promised land, and those who are helping them get there are keeping the commandments and have seen God. For were it not for him, we must have perished with hunger in the wilderness. Now, this is double meaning too, right? Nephi with his bow, and that has lots of depth in it in itself, right? To go get the food. What happens in the latter days? There's going to be a famine of hearing the word of God. There's a famine of prophets. And we'll perish if we don't have God's word. In fact, hunger and thirsting after righteousness, right? Hunger has to do with bread. Bread has to do with the word of God, scriptures. Water has to do with revelation. So your direct connection. And it's the scriptures and revelation that help us do what? Hunger and thirst after righteousness. Where do we find how to be righteous? It's the commandments. Nevertheless, you seek to take away his life. Laman and Lemuel did not like what Nephi said, right? Because it exposed their wickedness. I mean, Sermon on the Mount. You stoned the prophets, right? Anyways. Yet he has suffered much sorrow because of you. Sorrow. Not just, that's crying. That's emotional. Nephi cared for his brothers. In fact, this is very impressive to me, right? Especially interacting with people online. Nephi knew Laman and Lemuel in his, in his tree of life vision, 1 Nephi 11 through 14, 15, right? He knew Laman and Lemuel were going to reject God's teaching. but he still put in tons of effort to teach them, even though he saw in a vision from God. Now, what do people on these social media sites do? Oh, you're not going to listen. I'm not going to spend any time trying to teach you. That's completely contrary to Nephi, who was sent of God. He knew Laman and Lemuel were going to reject, but he still had sorrow. He cried over them and trying to teach them the truth. It's completely contrary to what you see on social media of those who claim to have the truth. Sorry, I'm getting a little passionate.
Oh, it makes sense. No,
but anyways, the main thing here in this verse, I find connecting with the next one that I'm going to share, is that Nephi started keeping the commandments the time they left Jerusalem, right? Okay, so now let's go connect it to plain, which is why I brought this up. 2 Nephi 25:4. Wherefore hearken, O my people, which are of the house of Israel, and give ear unto my words. For because of the words of Isaiah are not plain unto you, nevertheless they are plain unto all those who are filled with the spirit of prophecy. You know why Elias Church can't explain Isaiah? Here we go. Their so-called prophets don't have the spirit of prophecy. That's according to the Book of Mormon.
mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, they are plain unto those who are filled with the spirit of prophecy. It's not plain to the LDS leaders. Behold, oh, sorry. But I give unto you a prophecy according to the spirit which is in me, wherefore I shall prophesy according to the plainness which hath been with me from the time Nephi, oh, I put in Nephi, right? Came out of Jerusalem. Oh, wait a minute. That plainness which hath been with me from the time I came out of Jerusalem. Come up here. And who had kept the commandments from the time we left Jerusalem? Lehi brought out how Nephi kept the commandments when they left Jerusalem. Nephi is saying he had the plainness with him since he left Jerusalem. I submit, this is another example. Plainness is commandments. You go judge for yourself. I see the connection. And there's others, but anyways. That was one that I found recently. I think that's powerful, personally. Mm-hmm. Okay, we can finish the verse. Came out of Jerusalem with my father. I mean, you want to look at the symbolism. Who's our father? God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who gives us the commandments? God. I mean, I really believe these words that Nephi, Mormon, and Moroni put in are very well thought out. Very well thought out. They're structuring history that is teaching in a way that teaches correct principles. This is not just a history book. For behold, my soul delighteth in the plainness unto my people. My soul delighteth in the commandments unto my people, that they may learn. When we keep the commandments, we learn. And I have a post on that, but anyways, I have a post on a lot of things, don't I? But I'll just share if people want to go read it. But my Catch and Understand post gets into a lot of those details of keeping the commandments that we'll then learn. In fact, even Jesus said it, right? And I quote him in the post that if you want to know if it's my will or the Father's will, my will as in just, some human, or the Father's will, go do it and you'll learn and find out. And the Book of Mormon talks about it, and I bring it out in that post. But oh yeah, we got sidetracked into that, right? I was talking about that statement from Joseph Smith. Unless you guys want to say something about that.
No, it's
good.
Nothing
Okay.
really to add at this
one of
point.
those sayings. That's kind of cool.
There's so much to these little verses in the Book of Mormon. The time it would have taken to do this, if Joseph Smith had just come up with it, would have been tremendous. There's no way. Unless he's a lucky guesser, but I mean, the Book of Mormon talks about that too, right? Anyways, sorry. Oh, I don't have it here. So let me see if I can find it. The full quote. So there's a quote. Is it here? Oh, maybe it's here. Oh, no, but that's a good one I'll have to bring in with it since I'm talking about. Maybe here. Oh, maybe the hair color one. Oh no, there's the dot. I'm trying to find the one that doesn't have the dots. Oh, no, color. There we go. Here's the one. So, let's see. Blog. So I'll start with this. Oh, come on. Oh, sorry. Okay, so here's this quote, right? This is a famous quote from Joseph Smith, right? And I've used it a lot, right? I think it's a pivotal one, especially where things are changing nowadays, right? Or even historically. So it's an important one to me. There have also been ministering of angels in the church, which were of Satan, appearing as angel of light. A sister in the state of New York had a vision who said it was told her that if she would go to a certain place in the woods, an angel would appear to her. She went an appointed time and saw a glorious personage descending arrayed in white. She commenced, okay, and we can talk about that later. He commenced and told her to fear God. I mean, that's a good thing, right? That sounds like a righteous thing. And said that her husband was called to do great things. Oh, who doesn't want to believe that? But he must not go more than 100 miles from home or he would not return, whereas God had called him to go to the ends of the world. So Satan, or this, deceiving angel, said he can't go more than 100 miles, but Joseph Smith is putting in, but he was called to go to the ends of the world. And he since have been more than 1,000 miles from home and yet is alive. Many true things were spoken by this personage, and many false things. How may we ask it be known to be an angel? Ellipsis or ... by his contradicting of a former revelation. So the angel told him that he can't go more than 100 miles away, but God actually said he needed to go to the ends of the earth, and Joseph Smith said he went more than 100, more than 1,000 miles, right? Now, the part that people take out is the part that's interesting, that's Hebraic, that people don't like to talk about because they don't know it. They don't understand it. I think it was under hair color. Yeah, here we go. So here's the key part. I mean, we can look at the other ellipses too, but it's pretty much the same thing. How may it be asked, was this known to be a bad angel? This is the part that people don't like to talk about. By the color of his hair. That is one sign that he can be known by, and by his contradicting of former revelation. Color of his hair, what does that have to do with, right? Let's find the other one. Oh, a sandy colored hair. That's the
sandy colored hair. Yep, I remember that.
That's
the other.
So now there's multiple Hebrew idioms that's going on in here. Okay, first is hair. Hair is an idiom for authority. And where that comes from is the rebellion of Korach in Torah. So there's this history of a group of people led by Korah who are like questioning Moses' and Aaron's authority from God, right? And the reason why hair goes with authority, or this is part of it anyways, as he's doing this or before or after, I don't remember exactly on some of these details, he cut his hair. And that's partly why in the Hebrew culture, that hair is symbolic for authority. He's questioning authority in that story. And this is where he gets caught up or swallowed up in the earth, actually, because of the earthquake that happened. And they go down in the earth in the earthquake and they get buried. Anyways, but that goes into authority. The other one is the color, like we were just talking about from the book of Revelations. The reason why God's hair is white and his beard is white in the book of Revelations is because white is a color for righteousness. And so the statement from Joseph Smith by the color of his hair brings in two Hebrew idioms, color and hair. White hair is righteous authority. Where Satan, his angels are trying to be deceitful and conniving and pushy and a lot of other things. And that's how they're showing their authority, is by how you interact with people, is showing by what means you think you have authority. If you're interacting with people like God, like you're trying to expound and convince them and inspire them, your authority is probably from God. If your authority is by trying to make them feel fearful, scared, and demeaned, so on and so forth, your authority is probably from Satan, if that makes sense. And so that's how we can know where someone has their authority, by the way they interact with us. It's part of it. I mean, some are more clever than others, and also at the same time, we may not be as tuned into that or not, but the way that someone acts shows who they're ultimately are following. Now, I do understand that we're sinful, right? And we're fallen men. And then we make mistakes. But those who are actually trying to follow God admit their mistakes to those who they've wronged and then do better afterwards. I don't know about you. I've especially with kids, right? Do you have kids, Jeremy?
No.
Oh, okay. They're good to have, but they can try your patience. And
Oh, I bet.
I try hard to talk to my kids and reason through with them. Oh, my older one, my youngest one is 2, so you can't really reason with them, right?
Oh, yeah, 2-year-old, you can't. Good luck with that one.
Yeah. Anyways, my oldest is 5, and so I do try to reason with him most of the time. But I'll tell you, sometimes I do falter and I do yell, which is not the best thing to do. But it's not after the first try. So I do give myself some mercy, right? Anyways, God gets angry at times, though I don't think I'm as patient as God. So I'll give you that there. So I still make mistakes, but I do apologize to him when it was uncalled for. But I do believe how we interact with people shows who we're ultimately aspiring to be like. For, in the second coming, when he comes, we'll recognize him, for we will be like him. And it's not just some magical thing that happens in a snap of a finger that we just change our behaviors. Changing our behaviors is a lifetime process. And that's part of the reason why we need to keep reading the scriptures, so we can and have a relationship with God. We can find out what we need to change, right, to be more like him. So that way, the last day will be a joyful day and not a terrible day, because it's too late after that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, So there's a Hebrew idiom that, well, actually two, that Joseph Smith combined that a lot of people are embarrassed by, right? If they don't understand what that statement is saying, I can understand why it's embarrassing. In today's culture, what does hair color have to do with anything, especially authority, right? And being able to listen to someone if they know right or wrong, because I'm blonde. Jeremy, you're black haired.
Yep.
My hair's whiter. I'm more righteous. So my hair's not white, right? It's blonde.
Right.
So, well, I don't know what I'm talking about, but you get the picture, right? That's crazy talk. And I think Gary's hair's black too, if I remember correctly. Am I right,
Getting
Gary?
grayer every day.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, my beard's gray, so I guess I have a little white hair.
Yeah.
So I guess I have a little righteousness. Actually, that's more correct than just being a funny statement, right? Because I mean, our righteousness is good as a minstrel rag, right? We have very little.
That is scriptural.
So although it was kind of a joke, it is partly also true. Anyways, so that was the one I wanted to share before I go to whatever you guys want to talk about.
Question. So when they say sandy, what do they mean by the color of the hair being sandy?
So the sandy color, I'm not completely sure on,
Okay.
but sand color is kind of brown color,
It's the
right?
brown
It's
color.
not white.
Gotcha.
And so my educated guess on that is it's sand, brown, worldly. Worldly is not good because who's the king of this world?
Sure.
Satan. That's my educated guess, but I don't have support for that. But the hair and the color that I went over off, I do have scriptural support. And if I ever write that blog, I have notes and videos to put in to help people see it's not just something I've made up. And it's actually.
No, I believe you. No, I was just curious because I had seen that I'd seen that statement in the teachings of the prophet Joseph Smith, and the hair color. She had said like it was like a sandy color. Some
Yeah,
people
the
think sandy was like
sandy.
blonde. Is that like a light brown then?
Sand. Yeah, sand's a light brown. I don't know
A
last
light
time
brown.
you're closer to the beach than I am.
Ah, so it's like a black. Is that?
Well, that's when oil spilt on it. That's one only time I know, which might happen a lot up there, right? Today.
Sure.
So actually, before we go, I remember one thing. I
Okay.
want to bring this out. So this is interesting. And this is from the Book of Mormon. I think it has both meanings in here. In fact, I don't have it here, but so in the D&C, it talks about how Joseph Smith has his authority in the next life, right? And so this statement goes with both of these. And this is also why it'd be so hard to make up these scriptures, because these scriptures, when you actually know these idioms and multiple meanings, to have them correct and just simply make it up, I don't know how it's possible with how it is throughout the whole Book of Mormon. But anyways, Alma 13:14, right? Now, in fact, here's a little tidbit. Alma 13 overlaps two chapters on actual gold plates. So the LDS Church is, in general, I like the LDS chapters. I think that in general, Orson Pratt, if I remember correctly, did a very good job, but there's some places I do disagree, and this is, Alma 13 is one of them. A big part is because he combined places where there, on the gold plates, there was a chapter break, but anyways. But Alma 13:14, yea, humble yourselves even as the people in the days of Melchizedek, who also a high priest for the same order which I have spoken, who also, that's not the one I'm thinking of, who also took upon him the high priesthood forever. No, that's not the one I want. Sorry. Maybe it's in here. But there's one in the Book of Mormon that says, well, in the resurrection, we'll even get the hair on our head, right?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Do you know where it is off the top of
40
your
or
head?
Alma 41. Yeah. Let me look.
Alma 41?
I right around there.
We can look.
Alma 40 or
We're on
41.
that subject. Let's look. Let me get the...
Every part, well, let me see. So 41 to...
Because it goes along with what I'm saying right now.
Sure, with the hair.
Yeah.
Okay, let me find. I'll find it.
Even head, the hair on the head. The head is the. Oh man. Anyways.
It's a big Hebrew idiom.
Yeah, the head is who's the head of the church? It's Christ.
Jesus.
Who's the head? It's the Father. In fact, even in the Book of Mormon, it sometimes refers to Christ as the head, which goes along with the Hebrew.
Right.
The Father is the head. Anyways, let's go.
Nephi calls him the head a lot. He's called the head. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. He's also called the head. So a lot of places in the scriptures.
Right.
So it's
just another way for saying Father in Hebrew.
Oh, interesting.
Because Father in Hebrew is an idiom for the head of the household or your leader, your teacher. It's anyways.
No, yeah, no, exactly.
But I didn't know that point, but that's.
I found the one. Yeah, I think I found the one you're looking for, Steve. Okay. So it's Alma 40:23.
Oh, 40:20.
So says the soul shall be restored to the body, and the body to the soul. Yea, every limb and joint shall be restored to its body. Even a hair on the head shall not be lost. That one?
Yeah. Even a hair on the head shall not be lost, but all things shall be restored to their proper and perfect frame. Restoring of the hair, restoring of the authority. DNC states that Joseph Smith's going to have his authority forever. It all fits. But I believe, even the hair on the head. Where do we get our authority? From the head. Who's the head? Christ. And why won't it be lost? It's because of the head, which is Christ. In fact, also, man, this is crazy. If authority, hair is an actual idiom for authority, which I believe it is, to me, I know this sounds crazy, but this is the stuff that I think about, okay? We as humans need to make sure that we don't get too much of authority because it goes to our heads, right? I mean, DNC talks about that, right? What is something that we need to do regularly? Cut our hair. We need to cut our authority. We are not on this life to seek after authority. We're in this life to seek after to serve people, not to govern and have authority of them. And I honestly believe that part of the reason that we need to cut our hair is to help us remember that. Now, I know I'm crazy, but I see the connection for it. I mean, all things testify of God. Is that just some lame, cute statement? Or is it actually true? Do all things testify of God, even to the point that cutting of our hair is to remind us that we should not be seeking after authority? I think it does. I mean, I could even go on more than that, but if I do, I'd want to pause it because I don't want to record it. So I'll do that. I'll pause the recording.
Let's pause it, yeah.
It's an interesting precept that I hadn't considered. I know that the Nazarites, that you could be a Nazarite, for a certain amount of time or for life.
Nazarite vow?
Yeah, taking the Nazarite vow.
Wait a minute. Let me resume because I know where you're getting, and that should be recorded. I'll do my thing after. Okay. So I'm gonna. How do I resume?
Well, I don't think the recording had been paused. It's still showing recording on my end.
Yeah, it shows it's recording too.
Oh.
Yeah, so you never paused the recording. But anyway, that's.
So I guess it's a good thing you started talking.
Maybe so. But anyway, Samson, when he had his hair cut, he lost his strength and even, maybe less maybe it means less, but even Porter Rockwell said that one time when he had his hair cut to make a wig for a woman who had some medical problem caused her to lose her hair. After that, he felt that he no longer had any strength to resist the temptations of alcohol.
Sure.
So,
well, back to Samson, right? He was supposed to grow into authority, right? And he was supposed to let his hair keep growing. And when he told the secret to Delilah, I'm hoping I remember that correctly.
Yep. No, you're right.
Then he lost his authority and his power, because our power comes from our authority. In fact, I won't go there, but there's a verse in I think it's Jacob 2. I could find it in the notes if you're really worried about, but it talks about priesthood power and how it's even the trees and would obey us if we command them, right? And Joseph Smith talks about the priesthood of God can command the elements. And here's the Book of Mormon teaching the same thing. I honestly believe the reason Joseph Smith got revelations is because he didn't have the time to study the Book of Mormon as well as, because he was running a church. I've studied the Book of Mormon for a good part of my life, right? Growing up in the church, probably since I was a baby to some extent, right?
Right.
But Joseph Smith didn't have that time. But the things that are in the D&C, they're just, for the most part, reiteration is what's in the Book of Mormon. I just see it all over the place. But anyways, I forget where I was going with that. But Jacob and the commanding the elements. The Book of Mormon teaches the same thing. The Torah teaches the same thing. It's all over the place. And you know what? The church I grew up in, when there was a crisis, recent crisis, the people needed healing. What'd they do? Rather than use that power that they claim that they have authority to, they call people home.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that they don't have it. Because the Book of Mormon has an example of Nephi raising his brother Lehi in front of wicked men. It's not because there was unbelievers around, like a lot of people like to claim. That's bullshit, if you believe in the Book of Mormon. There are tons of miracles performed in front of the unbelieving. And I mean, even in the Book of Mormon, they publish what they saw and heard from the angels. Not just what they heard, not just their own interpretation of it. And I'm saying that on purpose. Some may catch that, some may not. But they published the actual words to everyone, including non-believers. And you know what? People started believing it. But these are the types of lame excuses the pretended prophets and pretended believers use why they can't share things. It's bullshit. Sorry. It's just, maybe I'm getting a little too passionate about it, but it's garbage. So I'm agreeing with you, Gary.
Well, good.
So here, let me pause the recording and I'll tell you what I'll.
Okay.
So on the knowing, if you want, Jeremy, one time I brought up how I have an insight about the 10 virgins. It kind of leads into that. If you guys want to talk on that a little bit, or if you guys want to talk about something else, I'm happy.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk about it.
So, we could go look it up. You guys know where it is off the top of your head?
The Parable of the 10 Virgins.
I don't know the New Testament as well as I do the Book of Mormon. I don't.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, I believe it, but there's. So it looks like Matthew 25.
There we go.
I mean, I study it, right?
Sure.
I don't have the chapters and verses memorized like I do other ones. Okay, so Matthew 25. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins that took their lamps. And I don't want to get into all these things because, I mean, I even bring out some things in my 2 Nephi 31 that relate to part of this, right? But I don't want to go there. The part I want to focus on is the 5 wise virgins and the 5 foolish virgins, okay? And what they represent. And I think we can find support for it in the parable, but maybe I'll just tell you what my insight is, and then we can go test it, okay? Because I actually haven't tested it yet because I've been busy on my other blog. So I'm doing this live. So we'll see if I'm good or not, right?
Okay.
Anyways, so I believe the 10 virgins represents the 10 commandments, and I'll tell you why. So there's 2 theories on how to separate the 10 commandments, either 4 and 6 or 5 and 5. I believe the 5 and 5. So the general idea behind the 4 and the 6 and the 5 and the 5 are pretty close to each other. But there is a minor difference, and we can get into that. But we'll start with the 4 and the 6, which I think it's logical. I just don't think it takes everything into account, okay? But the 4 and the 6 is the 4 about God, and 6 are about other people, okay? That's pretty logical, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe it's 5 and 5. And so the separation has to do with those in authority over us, which we definitely are, and our parents. Our parents have authority over us. And then the other 5, according to others, our peers, right? And there's multiple reasons why I believe the 5 and the 5, and we can get into that if you want, and I'm happy to. But in an overview of that is when you do 5 and 5, you take the first of the ones of God, the ones with our neighbors or our peers, they coincide with each other. They're the same principle applied to authority, God, and to our peers, our neighbors, okay? All the way down to 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that pattern matches. And so there's 5 principles. They're applied to 2 different groups, authority versus our peers, our neighbors, okay? Or even our enemies, right? It's not just, that's a whole nother subject. But in fact, here, I'll sidetrack us again just a little bit. But, you know, the parable, the Good Samaritan, right? Where Jesus asks the man, how do you read that, right? So here's an interesting point. You know how in Hebrew that they don't put the vowel points in ancient Hebrew, right? It's just
right. Just the consonants.
This very same consonants for, let me state this differently. It's the same consonants that are, I'll say it out bad and then we'll fix it. Okay? It's the very same consonants that are for the words in English, neighbor versus enemy. That is why he asked him, how do you read it? How do you read the law? Because it literally is that simple. Because depending on what vowels you want to put in between those consonants, one way you'll get neighbor, one way you'll get enemy. And it was very specific that Christ used the enemy, the Samaritan, in that parable, because he was teaching the way to read that from Torah is your enemy.
Wow.
And, that's a sidetrack. Let me get
back. Goes back with Matthew. Pray for your enemies and love your enemies.
Exactly. In fact, that's a very good point on that. That helps prove the way to read that in Torah is enemies because of the Sermon on the Mount. And Sermon on the Mount is just teaching us how to keep Torah because he was just expounding upon Torah, and that's one example of that.
Mm-hmm. And by the by, Steve, just
Yeah.
the book that the old Nazarenes, the Jewish the Christian Jews, or the messianic believing Jews, the Ebionites and the Nazarenes, that was their gospel that they read, was the Gospel of Matthew.
Oh, okay.
They
I
didn't.
didn't
They
know
didn't
that.
really. Yeah, they didn't. I took a class on early Christian history,
Oh,
and they didn't. This is before the Bible, or the New Testament. Obviously the Tanakh was together, but the New Testament wasn't a full canon yet, and
oh yeah, yeah.
it was.
In the New Testament, when they say, "What do the scriptures say?" They're
Yeah, they're
talking
talking
about
about the
the
Tanakh,
Old
right?
Testament. And in fact,
Yeah,
for the most part, the New Testament is expounding upon the Old Testament.
yeah,
It's just in today's world, or later on, that they've collected those writings because they do have good wisdom to help us understand the
hmm
Tanakh more. But the
hmm
problem is, most people divorce it from the Tanakh, and they get all these weird theories from it because they don't understand the base. Well,
yeah,
if you don't understand the base, you're not gonna understand the calculus. 'Cause
yeah,
a problem with Paul, right? He was a very, very deep theologian, and
right, right.
people are trying to take his stuff out of context. And in fact, it's even in the New Testament. Um, Peter brings that out, how Paul's writings can be misunderstood. Um,
Yeah,
so it. Oh, my screen's not sharing. That should not be the.
it shouldn't be. I'm seeing
It
Alma
should be
40.
sharing.
Are you seeing Alma 42 as
I'm
well,
seeing
Gary?
Oh man.
I'm seeing
Well,
Matthew 25.
Okay, now
I
I'm seeing
just
Matthew
resumed the
25.
sharing, so there's some sharing going on that didn't happen. But anyways, that's not a big
Gotcha.
deal. Um,
Not to further squirrel, but
yeah.
I've taken a couple classes on just Judaism, and they the one thing that really fries these teachers is how Christians interpret Paul, and they take it as an attack on the law, on the Torah, and
Oh,
they say, no, but you don't understand. So the Jews don't, the way that these Christian apologists are using this is totally not in the way that
wait.
Paul's
Okay,
understanding it.
so I'm gonna go along with that. So let's look at
Yeah.
my my
Okay.
primary post I'm looking at. I want to share something from that because it goes exactly
Sweet.
with what you're saying.
With what I was talking about, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm
they say that, yeah. So I mean, there goes. So people have totally misunderstood the whole meaning behind the law. The law, and they say, the law, God loves us. God is not about to put people in bondage. That's not what he's. I mean,
oh,
he does when they screw up, and and then it's done as a punishment. But to put heavy burdens on people, that's not what God does. God
oh
is,
no,
God loves you. God, the Torah is to provide liberation and freedom. And
David says in Psalms that Torah is light
yeah,
and good, and he loves
yeah,
it. And all of a
yeah,
sudden with Christians is completely different. In fact, Christians, they love to say, I have all power in Christ to do whatever God wants me to do, except keep the law.
except keep the law.
I mean, they don't say that last part, but when you interact with them and talk about it, they have that asterisk that you need to go read the fine print or in the notes, except the law. Right? Or except the high holidays. God gives me all power to do everything except keep the law and his holidays. I mean, they don't say it, but that's what they do. That's what they're saying behind what's going on, right? I'm
Right,
not
right.
making that up. So anyways, here's 35:31, and this gets into this chapter actually gets a lot into that. Look at all these bolds are on purpose. All these blues. I shouldn't get into that, but All right, here we go. So pleroo, right? That's fulfill. From Matthew 5, since we're on this subject. And there's this big debate what fulfill means, right? What does fulfill mean? Let's go look at the concord, because if you just look at the normal dictionary, even the 1828 dictionary, it goes along with most people say it's done away with. You get rid of it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's fulfilled. But in fact, we can talk more about this, because this is just the 2 Nephi 31, Jesus' baptism just brings this out beautifully, actually. But let's start with pleroo.
Okay.
What does pleroo, which is translated fulfill in Matthew 5, actually mean?
Holy preach.
Exhaustive, the NAS exhaustive coordinates, fully preached. And that's what Book of Mormon shows. And we can get into that if we want to get into the post or go back to the parable. But Thayer's Greek lexicon, fully preached. Strong's exhaustive concordance, fully preached. I'm not making this stuff up. I give links so you can go verify. Berean Bible in Romans and Colossians. And these are verses, letters from Paul that people twist, right? And this is how the Bereans group translate pleroo. Fully proclaimed, which is fully preached. Fully proclaimed, which is to teach. Proclaim the word of God, the gospel of Christ. Anyways, we can go through this all if you want, but the reason it matters in 2 Nephi 31, it's about Christ's baptisms, right? But verse 5, and now if the Lamb of God, he being holy, should have need to be baptized by water to fulfill all righteousness, and I'm going to put to teach all righteousness, oh then, how much more need that we be unholy need to be baptized.
Interesting.
And now I would ask you, my beloved brethren, wherein did the Lamb of God fulfill all righteousness? Or better put, because all righteousness, right? Does that mean we don't have to be righteous? Because that's how people interpret fulfill. Christ did it for me. I don't have to now, right? So do you have to be righteous? Where did Lamb of God did teach all righteousness and being baptized by water? Now this is where it gets interesting. Know ye not that he was holy? Notwithstanding he being holy, he showeth unto the children of men that according to the flesh. Now showeth. Now this is was it Kimball that has the quote that says something along the lines of, teach the gospel, use words when necessary. So that, what is that basically saying? Teach by example, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is Christ doing? What is Nephi saying that Christ is doing? Teaching by example. When we see someone do something, they're teaching by example. That's by the eyes, the showeth. According to the flesh, the humble himself before the Father and witnesses, and that's a key word, but we won't get into that right now. The Father, that he would obedient unto him in keeping his commandments. Wherefore, after he was baptized, which is connected with the witness, we won't get into that. With water, the Holy Ghost descended upon him in the form of a dove, and we won't get into that. But here again, showeth. And again, it showeth unto the children of men the straightness of the path and the narrowness of the gate, which ye should enter. And here, look, he setting the example. Teach by example. So if he's teaching by example, does that mean we do something different or that we do what he did? Now let's keep going. And he said on the children of men, follow me. When you look at follow in the 1828 dictionary, a better translation in my mind in today's language is imitate. Thou me. Wherefore, beloved brethren, can you follow, or better put, imitate Jesus, if you are willing to keep the commandments of the Father? Likened unto me, follow, imitate me, which you have seen me do. Seen, follow, imitate, follow, imitate, follow, imitate, example, seen, show.
Stephen, I hate to interrupt, but it's 7:30 my time. I'm going to have to drop off and catch the rest of this when you post it on YouTube.
Sure. So I thank you for coming, Gary. It was great to have you.
Nice to see you, Gary.
FYI, just in case you don't see it on Facebook, next time I'm doing on Tuesday, and then I'm on Tuesdays again for the cycle of the moon.
Okay.
I hope you can still come. I know it maybe be more awkward. I have an unusual belief regarding the Sabbath, but I do believe I can support it by scriptures. And that's why it's on Tuesday and not.
I was going to tell you a story, Steve. I had talked to some other people. Now they're not, they're former Mormons, and I think they're kind of like in the remnant movement. But the husband and wife, both felt and I can't remember where they got it. I don't remember if it was just straight revelation or if they had read a scripture and God had told them to follow the moon cycle. But they said that they did that for a while. I don't remember why they said they quit, but they're not doing it now, but they're going to try and get back into it. But they said that they had some really amazing experiences.
Doing
it following the moon cycle. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I'm going to try and do it with you.
Invite them to this. Also, give them that resource page.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send it.
I'll tell you. I have initially believed it, but then when it came down to like really keeping it, I wanted to be sure about it, and I've put a lot of effort into it because in today's world, it can really affect your income. So I needed to be sure. And so I've been a very big Berean on that subject. I don't know how anything else could be the Sabbath to be.
Pause it for a second because I've got an inappropriate joke to tell.
Okay, hold on. Let's make sure I pause it. So it's recording, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was LDS, I was somewhat naive, right? I mean, I believed in the Book of Mormon, right? And I still do. In fact, even more now, right?
Right.
But I didn't know the issues that go along with the scriptures. I just, read and I believed. But now that I have done more study and seen some of the issues, man, the Book of Mormon answers so many issues. I'm just telling you, it answers so many issues if people would just trust it. And like I was saying it with before, during the fellowship time, that in fact I'll put the debate in the chat. This debater is bringing out how the baptism is not necessary for salvation, and I agree with them. In fact, to the point I believe the Book of Mormon teaches that, and we could look at that some if you want, or we can go wherever you want. But because growing up LDS, it's baptism is necessary. I mean, that's
so it teaches not to baptize. The Book of Mormon teaches not to baptize.
No, it doesn't teach that. It says it's not necessary.
It's not necessary. Oh, okay.
So
really,
here's my quick summary. If we don't want to get into the details now, and maybe some other time, or you wait for the post.
Okay, I'll look for the post. Yeah.
Well, I'm fine either way. I'm happy to share anything. Hopefully you can see that.
Yeah. No, I can see your. I can see your screen. It's got the Seeking Yahweh WordPress.
Oh well, it's showing my blog post, right? Is it
Yeah,
highlighting? Do you see the highlights? Proverbs.
Yeah, I see you highlighting it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the second Nephi 31 post. We can go look at the baptism post.
Okay.
Which I started doing this one to expound a little part on one of the baptism one. But anyways, in quick summary, I believe the Book of Mormon teaches that it's the covenant with God that is the necessary part, and baptism is the witness of that.
Of the covenant. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And that's why earlier I said witness, key word. I don't know if you recalled that, right? When I was reading 31,
Right.
I just
When we were going over
the details.
Yeah, witness, showing, illustrating, fully. What was the word that fully?
Oh, there's follows imitating. Is that
Follow,
the
imitating, right?
So we can go look at that post a little bit real quick if you want.
Sure. Okay.
So you look, here's the title: Baptism is a witness, not a covenant.
Not a covenant, huh?
And I get it from the verses. Actually, in fact, the first place that I saw it, I meant this, and I talk about this, but since we're here, or we still haven't finished the virgin ones. So let me just do this real quick, and we'll go back to the virgins, okay?
Sure. Okay, let's do this real quick. No problem.
So Mosiah 18:10, right?
Okay.
I'll tell you, Mosiah 11 through 22 is a pivotal chapters for me for lots of reasons. I mean, they're my King Brigham one. I don't know if you've read that, but
yeah, I did.
This one, there's a lot of stuff in there. There's just so much. It's hard to put everything in print. And actually, I'll be honest, part of the reason I like doing this is so I can share things.
No, it's cool. I like it.
But I mean, if you have something you want to share, I want to learn from you too, Jeremy. This is not supposed to be one-sided.
Saying to you, this is the desire of your hearts.
But anyways, Mosiah 18:10. Now I say unto you, if this be the desire of your hearts, what have you against being baptized in the name of the Lord as a witness? And we can, and I go on the definition of witness, and I'd rather bring it out on the website so they know I'm not just making it up, right?
Sure.
As a witness before him that you have already entered into a covenant with him, that you serve him and keep his commandments, that you may pour out his spirit upon more abundantly upon you. Now, there's two big things in this verses. One, baptism is a witness of a covenant already made, which contradicts the LDS Church. And I get into that in here. I don't want to get into too much details because I'd rather go back to the virgins things. But then also, the LDS Church teaches to have the Holy Ghost, right? Mm-hmm. The only people that have the Holy Ghost abundantly are those who are LDS, who have been baptized. But now, look at this. You're baptized so that he may pour out his spirit more abundantly. Now, more is a big key word in this. Why do we have to say more abundantly rather than just abundantly? It's because God gives his spirit abundantly beforehand. And that's why the key word qualifying more has to be
more abundantly. Interesting.
Which is another thing that contradicts LDS teachings.
Yeah.
And
they say if you haven't been baptized or received the Holy Ghost, you don't have any of the Spirit. I had a problem with that myself. You know,
so does the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, the light of it says those passages about the light of Christ, and it's with everybody.
Right.
And as long as
the light of Christ, which is just another term for Holy Ghost, is given to all men.
Yep.
I mean, that's if you believe the Book of Mormon, and I do, and so do you.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
Now the question is, for a lot of people, do you believe the Book of Mormon or the false traditions you're taught in whatever restoration church you belong to? No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I totally see. Yeah, exactly. Because when you show people, no, I know exactly what you're talking about, because when you show people passages, like what you're talking about, that they've never seen stuff like that before, and you show it to them, they're like, oh, what? It's like, why have we been taught this? It's like, right? I know, right?
You know, those who can bring it out is those who've been born of God, and then
Yeah.
they now are speaking the tongues of angels.
Yeah.
Those who don't know are because they're not born of God and they don't know godly things. Because where do we get the knowledge of God and his understanding? It's from him.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't want to go too far into that because I've already made them look bad, right? And
Right.
I'm not just trying to make them look bad to be bad's sake, right? But Joseph Smith said we are to abide the Book of Mormon. You go look up abide in the 1828 dictionary. It is to guard, protect, and follow, and keep. If you're going by false traditions instead of protecting what the Book of Mormon and defending what the Book of Mormon actually says, do you believe the Book of Mormon or your false traditions? Every individual person needs to make that decision themselves, but I think it's obvious by what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Radio Free Mormon.
Yeah.
I think you said you did. Yeah.
Yeah. I like listening to him. I haven't listened to him for a long time because he has a lot of knowledge, but I don't think he always uses it correctly.
Sure. I think he threw the baby out with the bathwater too.
Yes, I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. But before he threw the baby out with the bathwater, he wrote a couple essays that talk about exactly what we were just talking about, how different traditions in the, because it's not just the Latter-day Saint Church, the other
just
churches
Christians in general. It's not just LDS.
Yeah, they don't.
Those who just only believe in the Bible, but the thing is, those who believe in the Bible and the Book of Mormon have this additional witness that's gives so much to help clear out these confusions that they don't use it.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, this debate that I like,
I'll watch it. No, I'll watch it tomorrow. I do like what you do, what you're talking about, just watching YouTube, and I'll do that throughout the day. Listen to lectures or.
I mean, there's pros and cons to it, right? Because you have to be careful that you don't get misled. But there are people that actually teach good things. In fact, I mean, one of my favorite quotes from Joseph Smith is, we accept truth no matter where it comes from. And that means not just the pulpit of the church that you belong to.
Sure.
Anyways.
Sounds like we're on the same page on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So let's go back to the 10 virgins, because I would like to get into that.
Yeah, let's look at that. I like that. So Matthew 25. Okay.
Let's go back. Where's that screen?
I was going to send you. He wrote some really, really cool stuff on rational faiths. RFM did.
Oh yeah.
Really cool one on.
I'll hear them now, and I'll put them in the notes in the.
Okay. Let me.
The video, because I do respect him, and I actually learned some things from him, to be honest.
Sure.
But I do also believe he gets a lot of things wrong.
Yeah. I think there's some misunderstanding.
He's a lot more honest than those who claim things that just are not so. So I think he's open and honest about things, even when he's wrong, than a lot of churches who are trying to get money out of people. Yeah.
Or other organizations, other post-Mormon organizations. Don't want to mention any names, but.
Sure. There's a lot of them. And even just other restoration churches, because there's one restoration church that I am friends with them on, but they take tithing and they don't use it according to the Book of Mormon or JSTs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because tithing's for the poor. I mean, the Book of Mormon and the JSTs and the DNC make that pretty clear, but they use it for other things. But yet they claim to believe in those things, but they don't
Oh, I see.
do
Yeah, yeah,
according to them. Do they
right.
really believe them? That's a question you have to ask. I would stipulate no. If you really believe them, wouldn't you be doing them? In fact,
Yeah.
even in the Hebrew context of belief, belief has, Hebrew language has a lot to do with functionality, not theory like Greeks do. And functionality of belief is doing. Belief is doing.
That makes sense.
Anyways, it's just another, sorry if I'm sidetracking a lot, but
No.
understanding the Hebrew roots of our faith really solves a lot of problems. It really does.
I mean, we almost have to take a class on Hebrew, right? I mean,
You got to be careful where you take it from, or take things from a grain of salt. Because I've taken some before. I've paid for some, and a lot of them, they go with just the current scholastic theories that are just really wrong, to be honest, in my honest opinion. For example, they a lot of them will preach that the Gospels were originally Greek and then Hebrew, but they're full of Hebrew idioms.
yeah. There's some,
No sense.
yeah. A lot of passages make more sense when you translate it. Like when I guess the Greek of the Sabbath is not for man, or man, man is not, or the Sabbath was made for man, and not the other way around. Man was not
Yeah,
made
I
for
know
the
what you're
Sabbath.
talking about.
Yeah, that one. I totally
It's a
butcher it.
mouthful, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it makes more sense translated into Aramaic when, as opposed to reading it in the Greek. So it
Oh,
makes
I wouldn't be
sense that,
surprised. I don't know details on that one, but
yeah.
I would not
It
be
was
surprised.
yeah. I took a class on the New Testament, and so the teacher broke. He said some of the stuff it just makes perfect sense. Translating it back into Aramaic, especially a lot of the I believe it's Matthew. He said is
Oh,
very Aramaic.
Nassim
Yeah.
Harriman, right?
Yeah.
Um, oh no, that's sorry, that's something else. Nehemiah Gordian is what I meant to say. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. I just
Nehemiah Gordon has this, and oh, I forget the other guy's name that's black. Dang it. Anyways, they have a series go on the Hebrew Matthew, and it's
okay.
they're going off of the Hebrew manuscripts, and there's the way that Nehemiah puts it, and I tend to agree with this, that there's very good chance that the Hebrew was written first and or at the same time as the Greek one.
Okay.
Everything in it is like Hebrew. When you really understand the context and the Hebrew idioms and
Sure.
everything, it's all Hebrew.
Yeah.
And so either the Hebrew came first or they wrote the Hebrew and the Greek at the same time is the theory that I believe right
Makes
now.
sense. That makes
And it
sense.
makes sense.
Most of the and it's interesting when you get into, I want to say it's Luke. Luke is the more Greek of the Gospels, if I'm not mistaken. That one, it's thought that one was, well, I mean, they were all written in Greek,
Well,
but I mean,
they claim they're all
yeah,
written in Greek, and that's one of the things I really
yeah,
disagree with. And
got a
there's a
problem with.
lot of evidence and research that disproves
Shows the
that,
other.
but it's not mainstream. But I'll
Yeah,
tell you,
yeah,
I think mainstream are the really high ones are misleading on purpose. There's always in every organization and movement or theories or whatever, right? There's the people that really believe it. They're just deceived and reiterating what they think is true. Okay?
sure, makes sense.
But when I went to a class that I paid for, I wasn't the teacher's pet. I was probably the teacher's enemy. And I don't think I'm any expert, but I know tidbits here and there,
Yeah,
and they just can't handle it.
piss the teacher off.
Yeah, it does. because I mean, most of these places teach that, you know, the Gospels were written in Greek, and there's a lot of stuff that shows that that's just not the case, but that is the mainstream theory, and I think part of the reason why is because they need that to twist the scriptures more, where if they recognize if it's in Hebrew, there's less twisting you can get away with.
Right.
I think that's part of it, but anyways.
Yeah.
So,
well, no, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it's a interesting topic to get into, and you know, like you said, they don't want to recognize that. I mean, it's
because their papers depend upon it because they're Greek experts.
Yeah,
they're worried about their
exactly right. Yeah. Well, and the apostles. I mean, the apostles and early disciples. I mean, they weren't Greeks. It wasn't until, you know, Paul took the gospel to the. I mean, I think that's
Paul that at the argument. In fact, this gets into interesting even subject with authority and leadership, right? And church government. Yeshua told Paul, to go and preach to the Gentiles, which I believe is prophesied in the scriptures. Paul's a fulfillment of that, in my honest opinion. But
that makes sense.
So Jesus told him to do that. But what does Peter do? Peter tries to argue with him and tell him don't do that. Right?
Right.
Peter had some false. Peter, 3.5 years with the Messiah, right? Either consistently or on and off. I'm back and forth on that one, but that's another issue. But anyways, 3.5 years with the Savior, and he still had false tradition. That's what Acts 10 is about, right? Letting go of that false tradition, not giving to the Gentiles, because that was a false tradition. And so I don't think Peter was perfect. I mean, obviously he denied Christ, right?
Right.
He didn't teach things contrary. He made it continued following some false traditions, but as God told him, he then let him go. Acts 10 is a very good example of that, right? Because the Jews should have been preaching to the Gentiles all from the beginning. That's the job of the firstborn, is to teach the other children. No, seriously, my son, my firstborn, he likes teaching my secondborn.
Nice.
Really, I mean, he I mean, sometimes he doesn't do it the best way, right? And he oversteps his bounds, but he likes helping the secondborn learn. And that's what the firstborn is supposed to do, and that's what Israel was supposed to be, but they rejected that part. I mean, even during the Exodus, it was a mixed multitude. It was not just the Jews. Anyways, there's faults. Even Peter had false traditions after being with the Lord for 3 years.
That makes sense.
And Acts 10 was to get Peter to let go of that, at least one specific false tradition. And it even states it's not about food, it's about people, according to Peter himself, right? But anyway, Paul was to go to the Gentiles, and I believe that was prophesied. I forget where else I was going with that statement. Sorry.
No, it's all good. We keep on getting squirreled.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of squirrel, let's go back to Acts 10. Acts 10. Matthew 25.
Matthew 25. Parable of the virgins. Oh, side note. I sent those articles from RFM to you.
Oh, just me or in the chat?
I don't have a way to post it on the. Well, let me try it. Let me see if I can do it.
You should, because you did the one about the church and was it the FBI or something like that, right?
Yeah. Let me.
So you should be able to.
That worked. Let me here.
I mean, because I see this recording as everybody who coming to share things. It's not just. Sure. It shouldn't be just me.
Shouldn't be. Yeah. Exactly. I hear you. Let me see if this works.
No, you can go look at some of the other recordings. When people put stuff in the chat, I put it in the notes.
Okay.
This is about everybody sharing. It's not just me. In fact, I really believe in Moroni 6, right? All of us coming together and sharing things.
Yeah. It's not just a. Let me see if I can get the other one. Okay, I can get it.
So Rational Faith, that one's not RFM. So is that the right
It's not
one?
RFM, but it's not him. It's not his webpage, but it's
Oh,
those
he's
are
being
his.
interviewed by them or something?
No, it's he was a guest
Okay.
essay writer. He wrote those 2 essays. One's
Okay.
on Hebrew numerology in the Book of Mormon, and then the other one is on Book of Mormon and grace.
Oh, speaking of numerology, so
Yeah.
and I'm sure
Yeah.
RFM brings this out, but one thing I'm just going to bring out, because I think
Sure.
I talked about it with you before, in the Book of Mormon, it brings out 7 groups. Even though there's more than 7 groups, it says 7 because of the numerology, which relates to Deuteronomy 28. And Isaiah, I forget the chapter about, the 7 women/churches. That's all. That's a subject we could talk about one day if you want with the garments.
Yeah, 7. That's his that whole article is on 7. And 7
Okay.
showing up
Maybe I should
in the
go
Book of
read it
Mormon.
then, because
Yeah, no,
it's a big deal.
it's really cool. He does he's
In fact,
very, very thorough. And he catches stuff that I'm just like, I never ever caught that before.
the 7 women in Isaiah is not about polygamy like the LDS Church likes.
Yeah.
Push.
Are
When
those
you
churches?
understand all the imagery that's in that Isaiah chapter that I can't remember which one it is, but it's quoted in the
I
book.
know the one, yeah.
Right? It's not
Right.
about polygamy. It's we should talk about that one of these times.
Okay, no, let's next week.
So
next week.
I'm doing it on Tuesday.
Oh, I mean, okay, Tuesday.
Right. So I'm doing one in 2 days, but then I'm doing it a week after that on Tuesday the 22nd.
All right.
So I'm not working tomorrow because it's a transition day, and then Tuesday the 15th is a new moon day. That's why I'm hosting it again. I don't host on transition days. It's a little much. But anyways, I could if you want to. I'll do it tomorrow if you want.
Tomorrow's going to be crazy for me because I'm taking my wife to she's got her cancer.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So that's Tuesday, but I should be home in enough time to catch our meeting. We're doing it at 4:30, right?
I think that's what it is Pacific time, but I stay up late. So,
You do? Okay.
because I'm 5 hours ahead of you. Just FYI.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I am.
I didn't know. Okay. So you're 5 hours ahead of me.
Late to do these things, and anyways, that's fine. I enjoy doing them, and I enjoy meeting with people.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that. I thought you guys
were a blessing for me. So
gotcha.
Please, it's a blessing.
Okay.
That's fine. So if you can come, I stay late. Because if people don't come, I just do study.
Gotcha.
And I have it up and waiting for people, hoping people will come. Because so I honestly believe part of the reason that Christians or any believer are having a hard time in the world today is because they're just relying on their preachers to tell them what to believe rather than doing scripture studies together like this. Because I know I probably do the most of the talking, and I don't want to. I want you to share things too, right? Which you have.
Yeah.
But when we just rely on only on one person and thinking that we can't share or we're not valued or our insights are not valued, our understanding and testimonies get weak and we get deceived more. And also because we don't study the word ourselves, we get tossed and turned by every wind of doctrine more. Versus when our insights and opinions and thoughts are valued, we have more desire to go study and then share things that we've learned at these meetings. And so I want everybody who comes to feel valued and that their insights are valued. Even though maybe most of the time I'm the one that's talking, but I don't try to make that happen.
Hey, no problem. It's all good. It's all good. It is what it is.
Sure.
Where are you in? I know you're in Argentina. What city are you in?
The specific city is Village Carlos Paz, which is in Cordoba. And the province / state Cordoba, which is next to the city Cordoba. It's about 30 to 45 minutes away from the capital, Cordoba.
Okay.
And Cordoba is this the second major city in Argentina. Obviously the biggest one is Buenos Aires, which is the capital of the country, right?
Gotcha.
Not that you would know that, because I don't know.
No, I don't.
Geography.
Yeah, I do not know geography. In fact, this is how bad it is, Steve. I thought that I did not realize that Argentina was that far off.
I'm in the southern hemisphere, so my seasons are opposite from yours, right?
And your seasons are off too.
In fact, since you're starting to look at the moon, here's a little tidbit for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when the crescent is on the left, on the moon crescent is on the left for you, it's on the right for me.
Oh, really?
Right. Which, in my mind, you probably have seen the theory of the flat Earth. Hopefully, I'm not going to offend you here.
No.
The fact that the crescent is on the opposite side disproves the flat Earth theory, because the reason that happens is because of the curvature of the Earth, the globe stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Also, you see the North Star, I cannot, and that can only happen because of the curvature of the Earth. Because if it was flat, I could see the North Star because it's in the middle, right? But anyways,
yeah.
That's interesting. I'm not offending. It doesn't sound like I am.
I'm not a flat earther, so no offense here. I'm not one of the. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know those flat earthers are they're very opinionated.
Oh, sure. So since we both believe in the Book of Mormon, let me get this out, right? So let me share the right screen again. The Book of Mormon teaches against the flat Earth. Actually.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Yeah, the Book of Mormon says a lot of stuff. and a lot of people who claim to believe the Book of Mormon only believe it in the things that they believe. As soon as it contradicts what they believe, they don't believe it.
They fall apart.
Someone recently on Facebook was really bad with me recently.
Really pissed off? Really?
Oh, yeah. Because I don't know the whole Book of Mormon, but I do put a bit of effort into it. But here's the flat Earth one that I'm aware of, okay?
Okay.
Nehemiah 12:13 through 15. Yea, and if ye say unto the earth, move, it is moved. Yea, if ye shall say unto the earth, thou shalt go back, that it lengthen out the day for many hours. This is Joshua. It is done. So this is expounding upon Joshua, which they had, right? The brass plates. And thus, according to his word, the earth goeth back, and it appeareth unto man that the sun standeth still. Yea, behold, this is so, for surely it is the earth that moveth, and not the sun.
Not the sun.
The flat earthers are saying that it's the sun that moves and not the earth. In fact, this even goes into how Hebrew works. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, right, that Hebrew is a functional language. And it looks like the sun moved and not the earth. I mean, I know that, and pretty much everybody in the world knows that today, but how do we talk about sunsets? It's the sun moving, even though we know it's the earth that's moving. So even English has this idea of functional in it that we make fun of in the scriptures, even though we use it day to day, but we don't think about it. And most people are just trying to find a way to discredit what calls out their wickedness.
Huh, interesting.
I go talk to someone about the sunsets and don't bring it up and see how they talk about it. It's the sun that moves, even though that we know it's the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did it today with my son. Today. Anyways.
Do your sons speak Spanish or English?
He speaks both.
Oh, he speaks both. Okay.
Yeah, he's bilingual. I know a little Spanish. Nothing serious, just polite things.
Just to get through. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Flatter.
We both want them. Oh, I swallowed wrong. Hold on.
No problem.
We both want them to speak both languages. I actually learned a little Spanish growing up in elementary school, but I didn't continue it. Probably because it was in the morning, and in general, I'm a night owl and not a morning person. Even on my mission,
Yeah.
I had issues with that, but I still trained 2 people even when I had that issue. Which I'm still in contact with one of my greenies. The other one kind of never had really good contact with, even when I've met him at other. Anyways, that's all another subject. We're just see things differently, probably even more so now. But the one greenie I'm still in contact with still knows. He knows where I'm at, and he can somewhat see it. He's nowhere near where I'm at, though, but he at least somewhat acknowledges some of the issues that I see. Right?
Oh.
Anyways.
Okay, so back to the
back to the virgins, because I would like to finish this a little bit. So I think I left off about talking about the way to separate the 10 Commandments, and that I believe the 5 and 5 split more, even though there's some wisdom in the 4 and 6 split. And the reason, and there's multiple dimensions to that, which we can get into if you want. And I think I talked about one, about how on the surface, Commandment 1 from the authority side and Commandment 1 from the neighbor side / enemy side, right? Or peer side, right? Because it includes neighbor and peer, right? and enemy, as we talked about, is the same. It's just the same commandment that's applied into those 2 different circumstances, and that goes through 1 through 5. In fact, here's one thing I'm finding being recorded on that I'm not completely sure on, but here's a theory that I have because of these various connections that I have. Tithing, right? That's a big one, right? I don't want to sidetrack into tithing too much, right? But that's what woke me up, just FYI.
Oh, really? Huh.
But I believe tithing is derived from the 5th commandment. And I have multiple reasons why, and I need to spend time on this, but I'm spending time on other things. But Jesus taught in the New Testament, part of honoring thy father and mother was to take care of them, including providing money for them when they got old. In fact, he talked about how the Pharisees were wrong in how they let people claim, I'm going to screw up the word, but something like carbon or caravan. Yeah, that
Corban.
word.
Yeah, it's a gift. Yeah.
And the fact that means giving money to them instead of taking care of their parents, which I think proves that part of honoring their father and mother is providing money for them. And if honor thy father and mother is part of the 5 of authority, which I do believe, that sounds a lot like tithing, which is a commandment, right?
Interesting. Huh.
And to provide for God's needs is to provide for his children, which tithing is supposed to do. So I see a lot of support for it, but it's not something I put a lot of time in to prove out that theory. So currently it's a theory, but it's a theory that I'm comfortable sharing while recorded.
Oh, that's interesting.
So anyways, back to the 10 Commandments. There's a split, a 5 of 5. And there's a lot of levels. There's 3 levels to this. And I don't know them all on top of my head. And there's a resource that I like from Alpha Beta. It's a website. Let's see if I have. Here's their name. I like them. I haven't watched them recently, but I do like a lot of things that they have. And I'll get the links for this, and I'll put it in the notes. That he has some videos about how it splits out the commandments 10 by 10 instead of 6 or 4 by 6 like most people do. And he gives a lot of good reasons, and some of them I just shared to you. So I didn't come up with it on my own. I got it from somebody else, and it completely makes sense to me. He brings out 3 dimensions that go into this, and I don't want to spend too much time on that. But the reason I bring that out is that goes with the virgins. It's 5 that were wise and 5 that were foolish, right? I find that interesting. 5 and 5. Okay.
Okay.
Another thing that's interesting that makes me believe the 10 virgins are the 10 commandments is in the Sermon of the Mount. What happens to those who don't keep the commandments according to the Sermon on the Mount?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
There's a lot of things, I guess, but the one that I'm specifically looking for, they're told is either I don't know you or you don't know me.
You don't know me. Okay, depending on
what happens in the 10 virgins?
Same thing. I don't know you.
I don't know you. That's another thing that ties it to the commandments. Now, here's another thing that ties it to the commandments, in my opinion, is that in the last days, the mark of the beast. Now, I know there's a lot of theories about what the mark of the beast is, okay? But I believe it is false worship, and I believe the scriptures support that. In fact, the true Sabbath is called what in the scriptures? It's called a sign. And sign in Hebrew and the mark in Greek in the book of Revelations are very related to each other. They're pretty much the same thing, because what's the mark of the beast is the mind, and the mind is what you think about, and what you do is what your hand. And part of the reason that there's 2 marks, the mind and the hand, is because some are really going to believe it and think about it, right? And others are just going to do it, which is their hand, because they just want to get along with life. They don't want to make a big fuss. Just go along with what the world teaches, right? Hold on 1 minute. And that's why it's in 2 places, on the forehead and in the hand. And in Torah, there's 2 places that represent the commandments. It's the mind, because it's what you think about, and the hand, because of what you do, right? And it's in Torah that it's both. And in fact, Orthodox Jews take this a little too far, because they put the black box on their head. Right. And they actually wrap around there. It starts at the hand and wrap around down. And that's taking it too far. And I'll be honest with you. There was a time I was actually going to go buy those things until God woke me up and showed me some resources that's just symbolic. And that is recent rabbinical Judaism that does that. There is no historical support for that historically. And also, when you look at in the same verses, it talks about how having the commandments written upon your heart. That's not literal, right? Yeah. We're not supposed to have a doctor cut our chest open, rip it open, somehow inscribe on our heart. So it's very symbolic. And I believe if you look at the rest of the context of the verses, it really supports it's symbolic. But either way, there was a time I was going to actually go buy those things because the
phylacticals and the
Oh wow. I can give you. Let me see if I can give a resource for that. Give me 1 minute. There's a good book that I got that I was directed to that woke me up. 1 second. Let me get it. Put it in the notes. Rabbinic Judaism has a lot of false traditions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not knocking them or anything, but yeah, no, those are they are the children of the Pharisees, Rabbinical Judaism.
Yes, yeah. It's asking for I'll worry about it later. I'll remember to put
Okay, yeah.
because I don't
Put
want
in
to
the
spend
notes
too much time trying to
later.
find that
Yeah.
resource.
Yeah, the other four branches of Judaism that were during Jesus's time don't exist anymore at all. That was the group that survived.
Sure. I would say Nazarene somewhat exists, if
Kind
anything,
of do.
because I
Yeah.
consider myself a Nazarene, but it probably not in the same way that the Pharisees / Orthodox are, right?
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Exactly.
because Karaites probably to some degree, but they've probably gone back and forth. So anyways, that's a whole other subject. But
Yeah.
back to the 5 and 5. I
5
find
and
it
5.
interesting that the mark of the beast is false worship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most believers are all about being good to our neighbors, right? An enemy
Right.
is a whole other question, but if they read Torah as neighbors, they do those 5, right? But the thing that most don't do is worship on the day that God actually commanded and worship in the way that God actually commanded. Because most believers who claim to believe Yeshua is the promised Messiah don't do the high holidays from Leviticus 23, which we are commanded to do, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
worship. And also Mosiah, right? Here's where we get some of the restoration insights. That Mosiah said, how do you know a master who you do not serve? Now, one thing you need to keep in mind, and maybe you don't know this, serving is the same thing as worship. Now, when Moses with the Pharaoh, when he first went to the Pharaoh, he says, let me take me and my people that we may serve and worship him. I think it actually says serve him, but when you look at what they wanted to do, it's the worship. Service is synonymous with worship. And if you don't worship God, you don't know him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the 5 that most don't do is worship. And what is the 5? Basically, the 5, because there's the 5 about the authority and the 5 about the peers. The 5 about the authority is about worship, primarily. And that's what people don't do. And that's what we're told is what we need to do to know him.
They're not doing it. Interesting. No,
And so I honestly believe the scriptures support 10 virgins, 10 commandments. I think, without getting into too much details, I think I laid a good case for that. I don't know, what do you think?
Oh, it makes sense. This is all new to me, Steve. So I'll take your word at it. I'll take.
Well, think about it, and we can talk about it next time you come, because I believe this from an insight from God. It's not something I tried to go find.
Sure.
And so we need to test it. I mean, I even test things that I believe I get from God to make sure it works. But I believe I've tested this one enough that I'm sharing it here, and it's actually one that I actually want to blog on because I feel that confident about it. But until then, if you can find something where I'm faulty, test me. Be a Berean. Test me on it. And if it's faulty, let's talk.
Oh, okay. Well, no. What I did when we were talking is I pulled out. Are you familiar with the Amplified Bible?
Not that one, no.
So the Amplified. Well, if it sounds louder when I'm reading it out.
Share your screen. Let's go look at it.
Oh, okay, sure.
I'll stop sharing, and let's make sure you have permission to share.
Let me.
All participants.
Let me see if it's going to let me do it. So when I read from the Amplified Bible, if I sound a little bit louder, that's because it's amplified. Really bad joke.
That was good. That was good. I like that.
How can I? Dang it. Okay,
So
so
I use
yeah.
I'm on the desktop, so there's a
Oh,
button at the
yeah, yeah.
bottom
So maybe.
that
Oh, okay.
says share
Let's do it
screen.
that. Okay, I can. Yeah, if I let me try and do it. I'll bring up a web page. I have the actual paper copy. What
Oh,
I don't know, I'm not really into the scholarship that I mean a little bit, but what I was taught is that the amplified. So when you're looking at the Hebrew Bible,
mm-hmm.
when you're reading the Hebrew Bible, it's going to accurately give you the Hebrew translations, and then it in kind of like what you're talking about, the word studies that you'd like to get into. It has the word studies
Oh, okay.
for the Hebrew in brackets,
Oh,
or
that's nice.
yeah, and then when you're doing when you're reading the New Testament, then it has it in whatchamajigger has it in here. Let me send you the link because I'm not.
Sure. If anything, I can share it on my screen if you
Yeah,
can't.
share it on yours. Okay, so there it is, the amplified.
Oh, yeah, I like the. I use more Bible Hub, but
Oh, gotcha.
well, it's just I'm sure they're pretty close to the same, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
probably
yeah.
use it more because it's what I learned at first.
Sure. Well,
No.
Bible Hub's good too. I've used their stuff. Yep, there it is.
Okay, so where do you want me to go?
So I don't. I was trying to go with the Exodus stuff to kind of like go over what you were talking about on the.
Sure, but how do I get to Exodus from
Oh,
here?
how do you get to Exodus? Let's see. Scroll. Let's see. So this is the Amplified Bible.
Oh, I do X.
Oh, maybe click on. See where it says the book list. Click on the. Yeah, there you go. If you click on the
Oh, the drop down.
drop. Click over on the book. See where
Oh,
it
I
says.
see right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
right there. And then it brings
Um,
up there's all your books, and then the chapters and
yeah, yeah. Where
your
do you want me to go?
so Exodus 19 or 20. Sorry,
20?
my bad.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, this is off the cuff from both of us, right? So it's
Yeah,
no big
yeah.
deal.
So I was just like, okay, so let me see if it's going to have the notes and word studies. So see how it kind of has in the parentheses and brackets that.
Yeah, so this is going to be, no, it's in today's society, right? The square brackets are notes or opinions or insights, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's at least how I use it, and that's how I've seen most people use it.
Gotcha.
Now, Prince or
Let me see what are they
these
saying?
ones are actually in the text. These ones right here are the text actually giving insights, at least from how I use it and understand things.
How
And
you use it?
most
Okay.
people, the square ones are what you're adding. In fact, I think the term with the ancient is glyphs. When the scholars in the ancient days added things on the side, they called it glyphs, where today we put the square brackets. So,
Okay.
I mean, traditions have changed. If if I remember that term correctly, because I don't go that far in the scholarship.
Gotcha. So they have four. So there's four kinds. So if it's a regular parenthesis, then
Oh
it's
yeah, so the round brackets or princess,
yeah,
that's
those
the text, right?
yeah, that's to supply a definition in context of the preceding name, place, or word.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then the bold parenthesis is part of the original language and should be included when the scripture is read aloud.
Bold, I don't see any bolds. You mean the
Are
square?
they doing bold?
I don't see bold on the web page.
Let me see. Okay, this is
What verse
okay.
is
Because I
it?
was reading. I was reading from the paper version. Let me.
No, that's
Let me
fine.
look.
The paper and print, I mean, paper and website might be a little different.
Yeah, I think you're. I think that's what's going on. I think that's
What verse
exactly.
do you want to look at?
I was just going to look at the commandments and see if it is it.
Um,
Is there any? You know, is there any insight that the
Honor,
that
respect,
the
obey. Oh, look here. Here's the one that I was bringing out about. I don't know if this is the one, but the honor, father and parent, but care for, right? So this was saying the parentheses. I know that's not text, but here in the round parentheses, is saying respect, obey, care for, which is what I
that
was.
was what you're talking about, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Because part of the care is giving the money. In fact, here's another little insight that goes along with it. The Pharisees, their righteousness was money. In fact, that's why in the Sermon on the Mount it says your righteousness need to be more, better, or whatever it was of the Pharisees, because their righteousness was money, which is why they said you should give your money to them instead of taking care of the parents, which is
Oh,
pretty much
interesting.
all
Yeah.
churches today, including the LDS Church. Give me money.
Right. Right.
The Catholic Church, give me money now, or forgive your sins, and all these everywhere. It's money is righteousness. It's not your acts or your deeds. It's your money. And our righteousness needs to be greater than money. In fact, even in the same talk, you cannot serve God and mammon, right? But they're
Right.
trying to serve with money. But serving is worship. You can't worship with money. It's your acts and your deeds and doing the actual correct worship at the right time and in the right way, just like it says in the New Testament, in spirit and in truth, not
True.
money. Anyways.
Interesting.
Which I think supports what my what I believe was inspiration to me, right? 10
For
virgins,
the right
10
for the
commandments.
tithing. Oh yeah. So I was just curious if this was gonna coincide because
Coincide with
I'm
what I
not
said, and I would say it
yeah
does. Look, respect,
I'm not sure
obey,
how
care for.
care for yeah okay because I wasn't sure how accurate I was just wanting to test this version of the Bible because I
Well,
got it.
I think you tested both. You tested what I stated, and you tested this version of the
This
Bible.
is
I think they both.
and there we go.
Unless we're in collusion with each other.
Nope. You didn't know I was going to pull out the Bible because you laughed at my corny amplified Bible joke.
Well, yeah, I foretold the future. I knew you were gonna do. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you knew what I was going to do.
No, I use Bible Hub more than Bible Gateway,
Then Bible. Okay.
and in fact, like I brought out with the second Nephi 31, I do like the Berean Bible, study Bible. I think it's the technical name for it, and I do want to get a physical copy of that when I get back in the States, because there's a couple times I've gone on the Bible Hub and where they bring things out. The Berean Study Bible just brings it out really well. I mean, I don't think it's perfect, but
Sure.
I think
I'll
they
have to
do
take a look at that.
You can
Yeah.
download a PDF of it for free.
Oh, okay.
FYI.
I'll check. I'll look that up. I've got the Amplified, which I like. I've got the ESV and the NRSV, and then I've got the Message Bible. The
Oh,
Message Bible,
the
a
message.
lot of people don't like because it's pretty much it's an everyday. It's pretty much dude English.
That reminded me, when I was on my mission,
Yeah.
I started collecting different versions of the Bible.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but the sad thing is I got rid of them because I at one time thought I should. Anyways, I've gone through phases in my life, right? Anyways, but now I
Sure.
look back and I wish I would have kept them, because one version I had was a ghetto version.
No way.
I served in a ghetto for a while, so that's probably part of the reason I had it. But anyway,
Okay.
but it had funny terms like "yo, bro."
Yo, bro.
That's how they talk in the ghetto, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's the Yo Bro version.
No, I don't remember the official name.
So
I wish I could find it.
here. Let me read you this version. Here, let me read you this portion in the Message. I think you'll get a kick. You get a kick out of it. So, I mean, it literally, it's literally a step up from dude English. It's very, very colloquial. I mean, you're like, am I at a beach?
Well, you know, that's if it really helps someone work towards God in their in understanding, I'm all for it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But other than that, some of them may be somewhat a bit blasphemous.
Blasphemy. So, okay.
But if it's really helping people, go for it, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. It's kind of funny. So, okay, so God, let's see. So here's Exodus 20. God spoke all these words. I'm God, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of a life of slavery. No other gods, only me. No carved gods of any size, shape, or form, or anything whatever, whether of things that fly or walk or swim. Don't bow down to them. Don't serve them, because I am God, your God, and I'm most jealous God, punishing the children for any sins their parents pass on to them to the third, yes, even to the fourth generation of those who hate me. But I'm unansweringly loyal to the thousands who love me and keep my commandments.
That's actually pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it's
I
just
mean, I
yeah,
may not agree with some of the language on
yeah.
some points, but on some points on how they translate it, they actually did a very good job, actually.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, sweet.
There's some things that I may have done differently, right? But I think they
Sure.
gave the true intent to a lot of that passage, actually.
Oh,
I think they
cool.
did a pretty good job in
Yeah.
putting it in dude language, as you put it.
Dude language. I mean, it's that was the whole point of this guy, was to make it an everyday.
Sure. I think a few things were lost, but at the same time, I think it brings out things that other translations that are trying to be more technical actually lose. So I think it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. A lot of yeah, no, I who uses them? I think it's more the Message. It tends to be more of your contemporary Christians use this one.
At least, I mean, I don't know about every verse, right? Because there's some Bibles even take out some important verses.
Yeah.
I mean, J-dubs for one, but there.
Oh, this isn't okay. Okay, so this isn't going to be politically correct.
Do you want me to pause it then, or are you okay?
No, it's not one of those. It's not. It has all the political incorrectness. It's all there in its glory. This there to piss off all the liberals and the Democrats and everybody that's, yeah.
All right. Well, I won't pause then.
Yeah, you're. Oh, and I love this one because I bought a used copy online for like a couple bucks. It was really cheap, and it smells like cigarettes.
I hope that's not why you love it.
That's not. I don't love it because of the cigarettes. I love it because that meant that a smoker was reading the Bible at one point, and it was hopefully changing and making a difference in their life. That's why I love it.
So along those lines, I mean, I don't want to get way into this, but I actually want to get an effigy pipe.
You want to get a what?
An effigy pipe. The pipes of animals that are from
the
heartland.
An effigy pipe. Oh, okay. Oh,
and those were smoking tobacco. In fact, here's a little tidbit for you. The way the word of wisdom is worded on tobacco actually gives a little leeway for using it for ceremonies, and the Native Americans used it for ceremonies.
Oh, cool.
I mean, anyways, that's
a
little tip.
As long as you're not going to be smoking any ayahuasca, I think you're probably okay. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
Just teasing.
No, I'm not planning on doing that.
Yeah, I'm just teasing. I'm joking on that.
That gets into the word pharmakia. That could be another thing that we could talk about, because pharmakia, which is the base of pharmacy right now, pharmakia was actually to take drugs to get into a different mental state, which
Oh, really?
does.
So it is truly like the psychedelic stuff.
Yeah, it's a psychedelic, and the Bible teaches against it.
Interesting.
But anyways.
Yeah. Well, so that's the message. Yeah. I've got some other Bibles hanging around here. I've got like gosh dang it. I got a crazy neighbor that likes to rev his motorcycle, and I don't know if you could hear it, but it was.
No, I can't.
No, it was really distracting. So,
Okay.
but I've got a version. I've got a Septuagint, and I've got a translation of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah. What? Oh, that's cool. When I get back in the States, I want to get a lot of different Bibles.
Bibles, yeah.
Including a 1611 King James and a Tidwell and a whole bunch of old ones and some newer ones.
Oh, yeah.
I may have to get them over a period of time because my wife will go crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's definitely, that's me too, because my wife has basically laid down the law that I'm not allowed to exceed my book. So I've got a book rack, right? I'm not allowed to double stack on my book rack.
Oh, I already have tons of Book of Mormons, and there's more I want to buy. Some of them, one or two, would be the reprint of the printer's manuscripts and the original manuscripts. If I had to only pick two more to get, the reprints of the manuscripts are at the top of my list.
Nice. Let me see which version I've got. So I've got the Skousen that you have, that red one.
Oh, the red one?
Sure. Yeah, and then I've got the Grant Hardy.
So here's a little tidbit. I mean, the church one, right? It's blue, right?
Right.
The Scows one's red. So, this gets into polar configuration a little bit. But the color for Satan is blue. The color for Christ is red.
Oh, no.
Satan's planet is Venus, and that's blue. Christ's planet is Mars, and that is red.
Mars, and that's red.
In fact, I mean, if you ever want to get in this,
Sure.
I'm trying to remember the Trolls movie. Okay, so here's a little tidbit on Trolls that goes along with what I just told you. So Venus, it changed colors in history. It went from blue to gray, and this even gets into doctrine if you want to get into it. But I don't remember the name of the blue/gray troll, but they do a very good job in that movie depicting that he went from blue to gray when he was sad.
Really? Interesting.
Oh, yeah. That actually has good principles applied to it, because Satan used to be bright, right? Venus, I don't know how much you're into this subject, but Venus was bright blue. But when Venus sinned, which is part of the third of the host of heaven that got, that the devil led away, because it went to dark gray, sad, and no more light.
Wow, that's an interesting. Wow.
And Trolls movie does a very good job at portraying that. In a kids movie, polar configuration is everywhere when you know what to look for. Anyways.
Interesting. No, that's cool. I have an 1830 version of the Book of Mormon.
Reprint or original?
It's a reprint of the one printed by E.B. Grandin.
I have a reprint. I don't remember which one it is. It's one that's from the Independence, Missouri area. I don't remember.
Okay.
It's in the States, so I can't look it up real easily.
I want to get a version of the 1840, because I guess that was one that Joseph Smith edited himself.
Sure. So there's I have a parallel 1830, 1840, and 43. I think a lot of the editing that Joseph Smith did was trying to fix the problems that happened in 1830.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's things in the printer. I always forget the name of the printer. It's probably because I don't really care.
E.V. Grandin. E.V. Grandin was the printer.
But
and then
there was times that instead of copying the manuscript he was given, he was copying the Bible because it was easier, because he add all the punctuations into it, and he bragged about that.
Yeah,
So
he did. Yeah, he did.
He instead of looking at the manuscript, he looked at the Bible because it was easier, and that's part of the reasons. Well, some people claim some of the problems, you know, the Book of Mormon just copying the King James Version Bible. Well, I mean, there's the answer, and I'm not just saying that. Skousen, you know, with the book that we both have, he did a lot of research, right? And he has talks that bring that out, that the printer copies straight from the Bible instead of the manuscripts, and he has proof for it.
Because you don't find it in the you don't find it in the copy that they gave to the printer. We've only got like
it's diverted from the original and the printer's manuscript. So it's just when people don't get, it's crazy. People, even in today's society with more money, more resources, and better off, we still print books with errors, even with the better technology today.
Right?
People have a hard time that Joseph Smith, the 1830 Book of Mormon, had some errors. Now, I honestly believe that the reason they had a printer's manuscript is because Joseph Smith was worried about losing the manuscript like he did with the 116. But the problem was when, I'm forgetting who the scribe was, sorry. But when the scribe copied from the original to the printers, he made mistakes. And you can see that. Anyways, it's just, when you look into the details, there's answers for a lot of these things that people throw out. But when people don't put in the study, they get deceived. So I'm trying to find the link on Amazon, but Amazon sells a parallel Book of Mormon that has the 1830, 1840, and 43, if I'm remembering the years correctly.
And then the blue one, the one that we tend to use is the what is it? Is that the 43 or the 44?
Well,
Remember?
So the one when I was in a mission was the 1980, give or take. I don't remember the exact year.
Right, and that one, but that one's like based off of the.
I'd have to look at. I can look in the book because it's next to me to see what it inherits from. Right, for lack of a better word, I don't remember what year it derives from.
Tells which child.
Yeah, in fact, I find this interesting, right? This statement's from Skousen in these lectures. But Skousen says the worst Book of Mormon that he's come across with all his research, right, in the Book of Mormons, is the one that was done in London, directed by Brigham Young. I think, to me, is just another evidence that Brigham Young didn't care about the Book of Mormon.
Well, exactly. Well, and get this. I do know. The blue book of Mormon that we have, that the LDS, it's a child from that version.
Is it?
If I'm not mistaken, and I just forget the date of it. It's a child of the. It's not so. My ancestor's brother worked with William Smith on trying to do another version after Joseph Smith died, and they were trying to fix more errors and stuff.
Sure.
And I believe the RLDS uses that book. Oh, there we go.
There, so the parallel that I have is 1830, 37, and 40. So I remembered the years wrong. Anyway, it's not something I'm real worried about. I have it, but I'll tell you, I didn't find it very helpful.
This one?
It doesn't point out the differences.
Oh, really? So that's lame.
In my opinion, it was a waste of money.
So this one that we're looking at right now is a waste of money. Got it. Got it.
Right. No, but here I am trying to sell you mine, right? I'm a really good salesman.
Oh.
Anyways.
Well, Kurt Bench isn't going to be happy with you at Benchmarks Books. He's not going to just teasing.
They're
Which
nice.
one was the good one? Huh?
I would say my favorite book edition is this one, honestly.
Oh, the Skousen?
Yeah, if I could, I have, I bought this on my mission, and I don't have it with me, so give me a minute to try to find it.
Yeah, no problem.
So I have an edition at home. There's something about the Book of Mormon reformatted. And oh, there we go. This is what I want. No, I want the Book of Mormon reformatted according to this might be it, because I do think it's from Farce, but I have this back at home. I bought it while I was on my mission, breaking the rules, right? Because you're not supposed to buy.
So is this the one that you're talking about? That's the good one that breaks them side by side?
No. If you want side by side stuff, you want
Skousen?
Skousen has this is another thing of the Book of Mormon I want to buy. Will drive my wife nuts. Oh, actually, here's a better link for it. I have it, a web page to it, and I have the PDFs, but I do want the physical when I can spend the money on it. This right here. Analysis of the textual variants of the Book of Mormon. So in addition to the reprints of the manuscripts, I want this physical print. Where it goes into details of all the additions and changes, and Skousen gives opinions on them, and this it gives all the explanations of why he put what he did in the earliest texts.
Okay.
He's completely transparent.
Here, I'm copying and pasting here those links. Stink.
I have the PDFs of it, but you can get the PDF. They share the PDFs here. They're not the easiest to work with here, so because you have to go
Gotcha. Okay, you recording again.
Yeah. All right. So, but anyways, this is a really good resource. In fact, there's, like I tell you, there's so many things I want to write, but when I write stuff nowadays, I put a lot of effort into them, and I have mixed feelings in this. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that too much right now. I'll save that for a post one day. But there's a lot of good in these resources that he did. I just, it's good scholarship, right? And people need to take that into account. And in fact, you know how people love to quote that there's like 5,000 changes in the Book of Mormon? A good part of that is punctuation from the guy that did the printing, not Joseph Smith.
Yeah.
But if they talk about that, that makes their claim look weaker, so they don't talk about that. They just want the big number that makes things look bad, rather than being open and honest about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. But this is a good resource. I'll put this, did I already put it in the chat? No, I didn't.
Yes, there's the one. There's the Amazon, and then there's the
Well, the
Okay, now I
Amazon's
got
a
that.
parallel of the 30, 37, and 40, which
Gotcha.
I would recommend not wasting your money on it.
I won't. Okay, I
I
will.
have it. If you want, I'll sell you mine when I get back at a discount.
I'm good.
But I'll be honest, it's not worth it.
Okay. So I got the interpreter.
Um,
Well, hey man, I don't want to. It's almost 8 o'clock my time. I've got to bail here because.
Oh, that's cool. We finished the Virgins one, which I really wanted to, even though we got
that was cool.
a lot with it.
Yeah.
But think about it through the week, and
Okay.
if you come Tuesday, great. We talk then. If you're able to come the Tuesday after that, we could talk about it and see if it fits. But I mean, just on the little thought, I've done it since I've gone to Insight. I think it fits. 10 Virgins, 10 Commandments.
10 Commandments. No, that's a really good insight. I didn't think of that before.
Well, with all the writings of people of the 10 virgins, I've never come across that. Never.
Yeah.
This is something I believe God gave to me, but people need to test that on their own.
To test it on their own and find. No, I agree, 100%.
And I believe it or not, but right now I do plan to write something on it whenever I get the time. The big list that I have. But yeah.
Right on. Alrighty, man. Well, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk Tuesday.
Sure. Oh, I'm glad to have you Tuesday. And I'll be honest, I'm excited that you're at least testing my word on the lunar.
I'll test it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, Christ himself said, if you want to know if it's from me, a man, or from God, you need to do. And so I'm encouraged that you're testing it. And I don't know if you've looked at my resources on it, but I have a bit on it, and I can share you more than I have on my website.
I haven't gotten a chance.
I haven't put the time to share it there, because I do try to put some effort when I share.
I know you've got a lot, and so it's like there's just a lot of different. Just being honest. I mean, you've got a lot of notes. I have your notes and your I've got your notes on it as a tab, and so I'm constantly throughout the day I'm going through it, and I'm just like, there's a lot of information on here.
I try to be open and honest about things. I share my notes. I don't know if too many look at them. I guess you do some.
No, I look. Yeah, no, I when I'm on my computer, and I've got some time, I review the notes that you on your OneDrive that you sent me.
It's OneNote. It's OneNote.
Yeah. Are you okay if there's some stuff in there that somebody has a question on, and I find an answer in your stuff? Are you okay?
Sure. If I have it. So I have a resource page that points to my other resources pages, and on that resource page, I give the link to that OneNote. Share it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Sweet.
I give it out. I don't think many people look at it, but I have it there. Anything I say, even when I pause, if you want to share it, share it.
Okay.
And if you even want to tell people, even when I paused it, that it's from me, go ahead. It's just be careful, right? Because some of that stuff I said when we were paused can easily be taken out of context. But
yeah. Well, no, and I don't want to do it either. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm with you.
You can understand why I paused the recording.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Keep in mind, I try to be an open book on this stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I put my notes there. If anybody wants to try to, show I'm wrong, go ahead, go look at my notes. It's there.
It's all there. You show your work.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the only thing I probably don't really share are my posts that I'm editing on WordPress, but I'm actually fine sharing those. It's just WordPress doesn't have a way to put them public. In fact, I've shared some, even on this post, the ones that I'm working on, right? It's not like I'm trying to hide them. It's just, I know.
They're
not done yet.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Yeah, exactly.
But if you go to my blog tab, I mean, some of the notes are there and some are in WordPress. So there's a mixture on that. fact, you can go look at a big long list of blog posts I want to do. Go look at my blog tab.
So I'm there right now, seeking Yahweh. Okay, so I've got. Where's the homepage? Because I keep on bringing up the wheat and tares. That's.
There's not really a homepage on OneNote, so that doesn't really apply.
So is it the posts?
You mean on my web page, not my OneNote?
On your web page, yeah.
Yeah, so that is my last post. That's why that's the wheat and the tares is there.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I just haven't set up that my last post is on the actual homepage. If you go under post, you'll see all the posts I've done. If you go under share, you can, that's for, if you want to copy and paste and share things on Facebook. The reason that's important because it has the bit.ly with the plus, so that way Facebook doesn't censor, because Facebook censors my blog. And so that's an easy way. If you wanted to share something of mine, you can go to there and copy the URLs. Because I'm recently doing bit.ly. I've gone through various ones through time, and I haven't converted them all over to bit.ly, but the ones that I share more often are there. But if you have one you want to share, tell me. If it's not there, I'll go put it. I'll go make a bit.ly link for you.
Okay.
Because
hey, got a quick question for you.
Sure.
Can you take it off recording? Because this might.
Yeah.
I don't want to insult people.
I'll pause.